So, welcome along then to the Friday Lockdown show on a Thursday. Of course, we brought it forward a day because tomorrow is VE Day, Bank Holiday Friday, and we didn't want to interrupt that. Don't worry, we'll be back to Friday again as usual next week, and on next week's show, not one, but two very special guests. More details about that coming up later in the show. But let's crack on with this week's show first of all then, and do our usual, and hand over to the wonderful Cllr Murphy from the Exeter Chamber of Commerce.
Another week over and a long weekend ahead. Hope everyone enjoys celebrating VE Day tomorrow. Just a quick update from me this week. I've talked about our Stronger Together activity. This is all about local businesses coming together and working collectively to take action now that supports our economy post-lockdown. We want to return as swiftly and as strongly as possible. Next week, we will launch the Stronger Together Shop Local campaign. It's for us all, businesses and consumers alike, looking to make sure that we're spending as much of our pounds locally as we possibly can. We've also got 600 places for digital skills training being rolled out from the third week of May, and this is focused on e-commerce for businesses. Exeter Chamber continue to engage with local councils and feed into central government. So if there's anything we can do to support your business, please do get in touch. Exeter Chamber is here to help.
Okay, time to introduce you then to our first guest on this week's Lockdown show, and that is Kate Doodsen from Cosmic. She is the Joint Chief Exec. Good afternoon, Kate.
Thanks for having me, and it's a real pleasure to be here on the Lockdown show today.
Now, Kate is here to talk to us about how we appeared digitally during the lockdown period. Kate, it's over to you.
So today what I want to do is spend a little bit of time with you talking about building your online presence during this time. And it's been really hard for all of us actually to think about ways in which we can continue to communicate with our customers. But I've got really into three kind of key areas. And the first area I want to focus on really is basic hygiene. And this is about spending a little bit of time looking at your website, looking at your social content and thinking, actually, have I communicated enough with my customers, particularly around my delivery hours, my opening hours, what service we're operating at the moment, those kinds of things. One of the first things I'd advise you to do is have a look at your Google My Business page, which is your Google Maps in essence. And there is now a new page on there called COVID-19, and you're able to temporarily update your trading hours and when you're selling. So have a look at that, check that that is all in line, but also check your website itself. Do you need to put a little pop-up on there saying that the new hours you're working on? Do you need to actually add a little FAQ page that might be full of some of the things that customers have asked you in the last few weeks that you can add onto there? Is it worth you actually doing a little video like this that you could pop onto your page as well that helps describe to people what you're doing and how you're progressing in this piece as well? So just thinking about those basic things, it's also worth thinking about if you do have adverts, if you run any PPC campaigns or any Facebook advertising campaigns, just check the content of those adverts. Is the copy right? Is it fit for this current crisis? And do you need to change some of the terminology in there to delivery only or to pickups, those kinds of things? So just think about that basic hygiene piece. The second piece I want to talk about is just some customer comms. So actually, what's worth doing is hand-picking 5 to 10 clients, giving them a call or emailing them and just checking in with them. How are you doing? How are you coping? Talking to them on that personal level can be really powerful in this piece at the moment, and just kind of making sure that they know you care about them. But equally, what we've been seeing recently are customers being worried about our staff. Which ones are being furloughed? Where are they? Are they safe? Are they okay? Are they trading okay? Are they using PPE? So actually being able to respond to those pieces using your social and using your websites is really powerful as well. So it might be that if your staff are out and about and they're using PPE, you might take a photo of them and include that in some of the contents you're doing to show that they're being safe. Also, if you do have furloughed workers and they are particularly spending some time on learning at the moment, you might also want to encourage some content around that they're learning, that they're self-developing, those kinds of things, which again, making sure they're not actually doing any social media, because obviously they can't when they're furloughed, but just helping your customers to understand that they're using it for that time could be quite powerful. The third key area I'd like you to think about really is actually the content itself. Now is the time to start to generate lots and lots more content for now, for the near future, and then for the far future too. Think about your empathetic messages. This is an opportunity to show your support for the NHS, for key workers in all areas, for the elderly, and for local communities. So is there a time now that you can be working, and you might be doing this already but not showing it on your social, that you can be sharing some of that good empathetic stuff you're doing? Also, is it the opportunity to create some educational content, both for maybe your customers, but also it might be for their children? As everyone's homeschooling at the moment, it might be the perfect time to spend creating some content about your sector that could be shared with children. I was working with an electrical engineer in Cornwall, and he's just been creating some content for children about how the electrics in a house work, how the ring mains work, how the fuse boxes work, those sorts of things, which I thought was a great piece of content to be out there and sharing. So think about also, is there anything you could create and put onto an online platform for your customers? Are there updates to your services or products that they might like to learn about themselves at the moment as well? Think also about helpfulness. Think about community kindness. Is this the time to create an ebook using something like iAuthor or Flip HTML5, that you could start to create some beautifully created PDFs, content that could be downloadable? It could be a toolkit for someone to use. Maybe something about your sector, or maybe something around your local community that other people could use and share. So also the great thing about ebooks is their ability to be able to be used for marketing and capturing leads. So thinking about creating 5 top tips for type environments, where you could put that onto a Facebook promotional post, and with the right consent mechanisms, you're able to build some lead generation. That might be a really good use of time now to develop those sorts of things. So those really are my 3 kind of key points. Think about the basic hygiene of your website, of your social, think about communicating really clearly with your customers. Think about checking in with your key clients and how they're doing. And then finally, really creating some great new content for you that will get you through the next few weeks. Ebooks, infographics, toolkits, all of those kinds of things could be really powerful for you now and in the next few weeks. I hope that really helps. Thank you.
It certainly does. So much to think about how we maintain our digital presence during these times. Kate, once again, thank you very much indeed for your input.
Well, thanks guys for having me. It's been a real pleasure, and I hope it helps everyone to grow their businesses and to keep Exeter and the area strong.
Next up on this week's show, we have Anthea Whittaker. Now, Anthea is a psychological therapist and counsellor, and she is here this week to talk to us about our mental resilience during this lockdown period.
In recent weeks, we have been asked to do a marathon effort without any training. Nobody expected this level of adversity. Our business plans, our lifestyles, our normal routine is all under threat. That's brought levels of anxiety, uncertainty, and for some people their mental resilience is fine, and for others their mental resilience is not fine. So how do you maintain your mental health? I sincerely hope you are okay. But here are some indicators that might help you begin to realise when you're not okay. If you're feeling on edge, if you feel stressed, if you've got poor concentration or you're having difficulty making decisions, if you're moody, a bit short-tempered, more than normal, if you're feeling sad for no apparent reason, if your sleep is disrupted, Or actually, if you feel you're in survival mode day in, day out, and you're just managing. I've picked 4 areas in your life that you could probably have a look at to see if there are some changes and adaptations that you can make. Your environment. If you're working from home, does it feel a transitory space? Have you got a different space for work and for home? Is there somehow you can manage that differently? Keeping it clean, uncluttered, being able to move from work to home actually allows both your head physically and psychologically to move from work to home. Gives you a chance to de-stress, get a bit of balance. Your routine and structure. Look at how your day-to-day routine is similar or dissimilar to how it used to be. And what can you put in place to help that? Can you have specific times when you're working and specific times when you're not? Can you have specific times when you look at the news, for example, and then you drop it? So give yourself some sort of routine during the day. And slightly longer term, give yourself a bit of structure. Can you arrange meetings for, depending on what time you work best, morning, afternoon? Can you organise social things to look forward to? Can you plan in quizzes? Can you plan in Zoom meetings, for example? There are lots of platforms available, so that you've actually got something to look forward to and something planned ahead. Technology is giving us the opportunity to connect with work colleagues in a similar situation, connect with your social life again, connect with people, reduce your isolation, be with people as much as you can. My preference is face-to-face, so I'm using whatever platform I can to talk with you so that I can actually continue to help people and support them. Your relaxation and your pleasure in life is also really important. And I've just looked up there because I've actually got a running manual that I'm going to have a look at later on, because that gives me pleasure. Look at what you can add into your day-to-day life in the here and now that you can enjoy. Give yourself a switch off from work, from the stress, from the news, from everything that's assaulting your senses, to something that actually you find pleasure in. So use your environment, use your routine and structure, use your connectedness and your relationships with people. Appreciate and fit in some relaxation and something that gives you some fun, some pleasure. I'm going to bring us back to that running analogy because I sort of want to give you a takeaway message. I think it might have been a couple of years ago, a London marathon. There was a chap coming down the mile in dark kit who had misjudged his effort, hadn't made the appropriate decisions on the way round, and actually got to the mile and he was staggering all over the place. Another runner helped him cross that finish line so they could both finish the marathon. Please look after your headspace. Be the runner who made good decisions along the way, who looked after his energy levels, crossed the finish line, and then was able to do the next phase. The next phase is coming, so let's be ready for it. And please, take very good care of your headspace.
I have to say I feel remarkably calm after listening to Anthea. Thank you very much indeed. Right, moving on then, it is time for the good news section of the show, and kicking off this part of the show is Carr from Situ.
Hi everyone. As some of you will know, I work for a company called Situ based here in Exeter. The hospitality industry has seen a huge difference since the COVID-19 outbreak, but Situ has recognised that not only do we have an obligation to help, but we also have a product that can help. So we have opened our doors to emergency services and key workers in Exeter, Bridgwater and Yeovil, but the agency have also continued to support the UK's vital and key workers to help them find safe accommodation. We want to say a massive thank you to everyone involved in this, a massive thank you to the Chamber for inviting us to share this with you, and also, of course, a massive thank you to the UK's key workers.
My name is Cibola Baker. I'm a nutritionist and fitness instructor and founder of Life is Good Nutrition. My passion is mental health, brain productivity, and the impact food and lifestyle have on both. During lockdown, I have initiated a study about the topic, and within one day, over 100 people from all over the world had signed up for it. I asked participants to add a number of everyday foods to their diet, make small changes to their lifestyle, and send them daily little tasks. At the end of each week, I received their feedback, and the findings have been very encouraging. Stress levels went down from a level 7 to a level 3 to 4. Participants reported an increase of 38% in productivity and focus, and their energy levels went up from a level 5 to a level 8. Initially, the study helped me identifying the best ways to support my clients in the future, but most importantly, I had the opportunity to make a positive difference to people's well-being right now. If you'd like to have more details, please feel free to contact me.
Good afternoon, I'm Matthew and I'm here to give you an update on the world of construction brought to you by Building Greater Exeter. If you haven't heard of the project yet, I'm sure there'll be a link posted underneath me sometime about now. Building Greater Exeter is designed to help fill the skills gap created by all the building work planned in and around Exeter. We've got a massive amount of information on the website. There's an education hub which is for toddlers who like colouring in pictures of diggers, all the way up to live job shops so that employers can meet up with people in the region who are looking for work. Like any other sector, we've taken a bit of a hit, not helped by some contrasting advice. The word essential works has cropped up quite a bit. Although the actual recommendation was that construction should continue where social distancing can be maintained. This has meant a lot of people have been working hard on producing some standard operating procedures, rewriting risk assessments, and there's been a lot of cleaning of building site toilets of canteens, which is not a pleasant task in the best of circumstances. Most of the sites in the city have still been working. Vinci at Exeter University have done it. The two city council sites run by Cllr, Sidwell Point and St Loy's Extra Care Facility, they've both been running. And BAM, College Way. This was great. Not only have they completed early, but also it's care home, so that's now taken some pressure off the RD&E, which is great at this particular time. And of course, Dingles. Many will have you seen Dingles has now started work on the high street to turn that into a hotel, which is good. And there is some more good news in that the scaffolding is starting to come out of the riverside, but don't tell anyone I told you that.
Hi, I'm Detty from Exeter Phoenix. From next week, Exeter Phoenix are hosting a virtual exhibition packed full of the community's creative response to the current situation, and we would love for as many members of the community to get involved as possible. The exhibition is open to submissions of any artwork created during lockdown, so whether that's a picture of the rainbow in your window, maybe the kids' crayon creations, or perhaps lockdown's given you the chance to get into an art project you wouldn't normally have time for, we would love for you to get involved. Add your pictures, drawings and images to the Exeter Bloom exhibition so that everyone can enjoy Exeter's community spirit without having to leave the house. You can find out more by visiting Exeter Phoenix's website and social media pages, and you can submit your pictures directly to the Phoenix's Facebook page. The exhibition is taking place as part of Bloom 2020, which is Exeter Phoenix's virtual festival to mark Mental Health Awareness Week. We look forward to sharing the virtual exhibition with you from next week, so please do share and get involved in the campaign and help us spread some positivity through art. Thank you.
I just want to say a massive thank you from all of us at the RD&E to everyone at the Chiefs, to Tony Rowe, to all the players, to all the staff at Sandy Park. Thank you so much for the drive-through centre. It's going to make an enormous difference to the care we give to all our patients. So thank you very, very much.
Fantastic. Lots of positive news from our community around this brilliant city. Okay, time for our third guest on today's show then, week 5 of lockdown, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you Lindsey Lucas, the MD of Software Solved. Good afternoon, Lindsay.
Pleasure to be here, Matt. Thanks for having me.
So Lindsay is here to talk to us about what to do about lockdown and beyond. Lindsay, it's over to you.
There's no question that this crazy situation has been a challenge for everyone. Those running a business, those running families, those travelling the world. I think it's safe to say that when it comes to work and home life, the boundaries have never been so blurred. So today I want to take this opportunity to talk to you not about what we do at Software Solved, but about what we have done to adjust to the lockdown norm and to try to get ourselves as fit as possible for beyond. Even before lockdown was announced on the 23rd of March, the normal ways of working were already showing signs of change, with events being cancelled or moved online, more staff working from home, and the majority of us felt like we'd won the lottery if we found a shelf with toilet roll or pasta on it. 7 weeks ago, on the 18th of March, I announced to the team that our offices would be closing at the end of that week for a minimum of 4 weeks. As a company, we've always been geared up to support home working, so we were in a fortunate position that the practical side of doing this was pretty straightforward. What we did have to put more thought into was how we transition the office atmosphere and culture online. I know this topic was covered last week by Julian, so I won't go into too much detail about it, but there's no question that Teams, Slack, regular, transparent communication, and an opportunity for all of the team to quiz me live twice a month about anything have played an important part in making it all work. But those things wouldn't have worked without the fantastic team that we have. They've all adapted so well. They've supported each other. They've kept in touch. They've been as bonkers as normal whilst keeping the business going. From the start of lockdown, I've tried to keep the team and myself focused on not just reviewing and adapting things for now, but also looking to the future and thinking about whatever the new business as usual looks like. I don't know about you, but I don't think I've ever wished quite so much for a crystal ball. So what have we done? I'll break it down into 3 main areas: finances, sales and marketing, and operations. So finances, my finance director is fabulous and keeps data bang up to date, which means we can always get a real-time picture and forecast. That being said, with the length of lockdown and impact it could have on our business being an unknown, it was important that we modelled best and worst case scenarios whilst reviewing all our expenditure. We review the figures on a weekly basis to make sure that we always remain informed and are able to make nimble decisions. Our finance director has also kept in touch with government announcements to ensure that where appropriate, we're utilising available schemes. When we review the projections, we're not just looking at the next couple of months, we're looking out as far as we need to monitor the future impact of the decisions we're making now, many of which will span into the next financial year. From a sales and marketing perspective, sales and marketing is traditionally an area that can be first in the firing line in uncertain times. But for me, I see it as a critical function to help us not just sustain the business through lockdown, but also build a pipeline that will see us ready to come out the other side fighting. We quickly reviewed our existing marketing plans, new target sectors were researched and verified, and digital efforts were increased. And within 3 weeks of lockdown, activity and expenditure had been refocused to support growth for both now and for the next 6 months. Before the lockdown started, we were already at the final stages of recruiting our new head of sales. We pushed on with that recruitment, and we just had to think a little bit smarter about how to induct him remotely using the tools available to us. Video calls have been especially useful, not just for induction, but for meetings too. And I think that as we all come out of lockdown and consider our own exposure to this virus, when it comes to travel or face-to-face meetings, that meeting online will become the new norm for a while, and we should be preparing our businesses for that. From an operations perspective, operations is the primary part of our organisation, and it covers clients, new projects, development, delivery and support, an area that is always closely managed in terms of cost, resource, capacity and forecasting. We needed to quickly understand any impact on the capacity and utilisation forecasts in line with the financial forecast so that we could make data-driven decisions. Having this data available to us has allowed us to make the right decisions at the right time and protect the long-term sustainability of the company, and to ensure that our team can continue to be a team beyond the current situation. I believe that it's key that organisations use this time, wherever possible, to think about how they may change the way they do business, not just now, but beyond lockdown. And let's face it, it's not going to be as simple as lockdown lifted, back to business as usual. This time's going to change us all as individuals. It's going to change the way we think. It's going to change our priorities. But for me, the most important thing is that it changes these things for the better for all of us. I don't know about any of you, but as a mum, I've loved the extra time I've had and am having with my husband and son. But equally, I'm enjoying the additional challenges my role currently brings too. I want to support our team, our clients and our community to help us all ensure that the new normal is one that works for us and enables us to strike the right balance.
Great stuff. There's some serious food for thought there as we start to contemplate exiting lockdown. Lindsay, thank you very much indeed.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me. These sessions are really useful, so it's great to be involved.
It's now time for the part of the show where we find out what's going on from our brilliant business community around the city from what we see on social media. Kicking off today with a group of aero modelers who have got together to help the cause and make PPE visors and ear savers for NHS and key workers. They've already upped capacity from just 20 units a day to 500, and with this extra money they're asking for, they're hoping to increase that to even more. The guys at Storm Press are offering to print 1,000 A5 leaflets free of charge for 50 local businesses. They could be Exeter shops, hospitality, maybe even leisure businesses as well. It's aimed at helping to promote adapted services and to connect with customers. Cosmic were due to be this year's Dragon Boat Festival sponsors, all in aid of the Devon Air Ambulance. However, they've been quick to adapt their support, and now instead 3 team members will shave their heads once they reach the £10,000 mark. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to get donating. And finally, top chefs, food and drink producers and industry insiders from across the West Country have come together to create a digital cookbook. Everyone involved in this project has given their time for free so that all the money raised will go directly to the Hospitality Action COVID-19 Emergency Appeal. Okay, time to introduce our headline act for today, and that is none other than the leader of Exeter City Council, Councillor Phil Bialyk. Good afternoon, Councillor.
Thank you for inviting me along.
Phil is here to update us on Exeter City Council's response to the COVID-19 situation. Phil, the floor is all yours.
Well, it's been a tight time for us all, and the council has been in a tight spot as well. But I think it's the last thing that business wants to hear, that civic leaders are complaining about our particular lot. Like so many of you, we've actually had 170 of our employees into furlough under the job retention scheme. That's been discussions with the trade unions and volunteers. That's very important. That will help the council's current year finances. We're still using our reserves. We have about 4 million reserves that we need to use, but we need to always have a level of reserves available to the council. Look, the things that made Exeter a great city before are going to be the things that make Exeter a great city in the future. We will need help from government. I'm continually talking to ministers at national level about the amount of losses we've got, and I feel sure you're all talking about the losses that many businesses face here in Exeter. We're in the process of putting a recovery plan together as the council. We're working with a place board that many of you may know, of which the Chamber of Commerce has a seat on that place board, and we're talking to people like the RD&E Hospital, Steve Smith at the university, John Laramie at Exeter College, other business leaders like Steve Hinley from Midas. We've got Charlie Courtney, the Earl of Devon, who's on our board as well. And we're all keen that we need to get a recovery plan together for Exeter and our sub-region. It's going to be so important. You know, the reach of Exeter is something like 450,000 people, and we need to keep that economy buoyant here in Exeter. 130,000 people come into journeys into and out of Exeter before the COVID crisis. What's that going to look like after? We need to know and understand. We've got a top-up grant scheme where we're working with government on that. We have issued something like £20 million to businesses, and there's still other grants that we're trying to reach. We've got the Exeter Wellbeing Support Fund we're setting up to give rapid short-term financial support, and it's really for those people who fall between the cracks, so to speak, who are not covered by the job retention scheme, and that includes small business owners as well, in my view. All that's on our website. Look, I think the next stages that we're all going to go into as a city, and we are one city here in Exeter, one Exeter, going forward is so important. I really value the work that my directors in Exeter have been doing. We're trying to work with business. We've got to re-establish those links as we go forward. We've all got to be working for the common cause. Jobs are so important in Exeter. The economy is so important in Exeter. The recent RSA report highlighted Exeter as in the bottom 20, in other words, the bottom 20 of locations to be affected by COVID. All of the authorities around us are in the top 20 to be affected. Now, I'm not sort of lauding that around. I'm just saying how important it is that we get back Exeter into a good way of working, because if we can do that, we can support everybody else. Exeter does well, we all do well. We all do well, Exeter does well. I want to work with business. It's so important for the jobs, the economy. I often say, I've got my grandchild to worry about, my 2 children to worry about. It's their future that I want to rebuild for Exeter. I want to work with everybody. Exeter City Council is open for business. We welcome you. We want to work with you.
Some really positive news there from Councillor Phil Bialyk on behalf of Exeter City Council. Thank you, Phil.
Thank you, and it's been a pleasure.
Time for the final segment on today's show, and it's the part that we like to refer to as the "and finally." Taking that place today is Imara Roth. She's from the Lord Mayor's office, and she is here to talk to us about how we can still go about celebrating VE Day tomorrow.
Exeter City Council, amongst others around the nation, will be marking the 75th anniversary of VE Day on the 8th of May. We are doing something slightly different though. We will be doing a virtual event. We've got speeches from the Lord Mayor, the High Sheriff and the Lord Lieutenant. We have also got some amazing performances from the Liberty Sisters, AJ Big Band, the Devon and Somerset Fire and Rescue and the 6th Battalion of the Rifles. We are asking members of the public to upload photos of their picnics in their parlours, as well as raising a glass for the hero's toast. Once this event is over, we'll be compiling all the information and materials and create a little documentary so that when we look back at years to come, we can be proud that the citizens of Exeter, during a pandemic, still managed to mark a poignant day in our history.
I love that. We're creating a lasting legacy of a momentous occasion under truly unique circumstances. Looking back on that in years to come will be absolutely fascinating. Imara, thank you very much indeed. Right then, that's us wrapped up for this week. It is a day early, of course, because tomorrow is VE Day. We're back again next Friday. That's the 15th of May, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, with 2 very special guests. First of all, we've got Phil Norrie, the Devon County Council Chief Executive. He's going to be on the show. And we're also going to be joined by our very own MP for Exeter. Yes, Ben Bradshaw will be here as well. Really looking forward to speaking to both of those on next week's Lockdown show. Until then, though, stay safe, stay home, but most important of all, stay happy. Maybe a barbecue this weekend, and I must admit, I do like a nice sausage over charcoal. Going to be fantastic. Enjoy it, whatever you get up to, and we'll see you for episode 6 of the Lockdown show next Friday at 2. Until then, cheerio.